Around October 6, 2021, Rick Riordan announced that he and Mark Oshiro were going to make a Nico solo book, and just recently, they finally gave the title for that book, which is called The Sun and the Star. In this video, I'll explain everything we know so far about this book, like the premise, the production, and the tentative release date. I know I'm a bit late with this video, but I decided to post it now, just in time for Rick's letter called News from the Riordanverse October 2022. Before getting into it, spoiler warning. And with that, let's get into it. So, let's start with the premise, or what we're expecting with this book. So for this part, I'm going to be reading what the synopsis is. As the son of Hades, Nico Angelo has been through so much. From the premature deaths of his mother and sister, to being outed against his will, to losing his friend Jason during the trials of Apollo. But there is a ray of sunshine in his life. Literally, his boyfriend Will Solus, the son of Apollo. Together, the two demigods can overcome any obstacle or foe. At least, that's been the case so far. Now, Nico is being plagued by a voice calling out to him from Tartarus, the lowest part of the underworld. He thinks he knows who it is. A reformed titan named Bob, whom Percy and Annabeth had to leave behind when they escaped Hades' realm. Nico's dreams and Rachel Dare's latest prophecy leave little doubt in Nico's mind that Bob is in some kind of trouble. Nico has to go on this quest whether Mr. D and Chiron like it or not. And of course, Will insists on coming with. But can a being made of light survive in the darkest part of the world? And what does the prophecy mean that Nico will have to leave something of equal value behind? Nico will have to face demons both internal and external, as his relationship with Will is tested to the core in the standalone adventure featuring two of the most popular characters in the Percy Jackson saga. Now that's a really good synopsis. Hats off to Rick and Mark, but what really intrigues me is the leave something of equal value behind part, which is a part of the unknown prophecy Rachel gave Nico and Will. My immediate thought when it came to this was the fact that, in the end of this book, Will was going to sacrifice himself for Nico's sake, and that's the leave something of equal value behind. But, guys, I love Will. I don't want him to die, nor do I want Nico to die. I want them both back at camp when this entire thing ends. People have told me that Will was probably going to die in this book because Rick sort of has a killing spree for blonde, blue-eyed characters. Like he killed Castellan, and then Octavian, and then Jason Grace, who, as you can all see, all blonde and blue-eyed, which Will is too. I mean, the only blondes that are still alive in the Riordanverse is Annabeth Chase, Sadie Kane, and Will. The rest of the blondes in the Riordanverse are dead. And yes, I include Magnus Chase as dead because, technically speaking, he is dead even if he is resurrected in Valhalla. But anyway, let's get into production of this book. Rick Riordan announced this book around October of 2021, and he revealed that he was going to write this book with Mark Oshiro. So here's a little background on Mark. Mark is an author who wrote a best-selling book called Anger is a Gift. Majority of their books feature LGBTQ+ characters, as Mark themselves is a self-proclaimed queer, and because of this, I'm going to refer to Mark with they/them pronouns in this video, as Rick mentioned in an article that Mark goes by those pronouns. So, because Rick was going to be in a perspective of a gay character like Nico or Will, he wanted to make his writing authentic and realistic. So, because of this, he decided to co-author with Mark. Rick working with Mark Oshiro for this book is a huge thing for us fans, because this is the first time Rick ever collaborated with someone to write a Percy Jackson related book. Throughout the years, he's been writing all of these books single-handedly, so with him writing with Mark is a huge eye-widener for all of us. Throughout the months, nothing that much was said about this book, only that it's going good and smoothly. Now, in Rick's letter, which addresses the release of the cover and title of this book, there are a few things that Rick revealed when writing it with Mark. But first, let's go over this letter. For the cover art, Rick mentioned that it was made by an artist who made the UK edition of Daughter of the Deep, which says a lot because that cover looks amazing. Rick even says that the cover she made will be appearing on both the American and the British editions. After which, Rick goes on about the release date of this book, saying, "The on-sale date for North America and the United Kingdom is May 2, 2023. As always, release dates for other countries may vary depending on how long it takes to translate and market in those countries." And then, Rick answers if he and Mark would go on a tour together for this book, and he said that both of them were planning to do an in-person tour together in North America. After this, Rick talks about the title, The Sun and the Star, and its origin. Rick admits that the title was Mark's idea, and how they have a lot more poetry in their soul than Rick himself. He adds that it isn't really his type of title, but he appreciates it all the same, even admitting that it's absolutely perfect. And now, let's head to what Rick said about the writing process. Rick starts this off by saying that he really appreciated Mark's input when it came to perspectives, and that he admires Mark's writing. He adds that everything is in good hands, as Mark is a super fan of the books as well, and that they have vast knowledge on the Percy Jackson world. Rick then goes on about how it was a true 50-50 collaboration. He makes it clear that this book was an equal balance of Rick's style and Mark's style, and he even encouraged us to read Mark's other books. And then, Rick addressed a question that honestly made me laugh. It was, will anything bad happen to our favorite characters? To answer this, Rick said, they're going in Tartarus. What could possibly go wrong? And he then says that he gets where this question is coming from, but he assures us that Mark feels for these characters like us. He even tells us that he's quite fond of Nico and Will, and not to worry, as there have been rumors that Percy was going to die since 2005. Obviously that didn't happen, and that's Rick's point. He says that he can't reveal the plot, and that we'll have to wait and read the book. And now, let's talk about Rick's other letter called News from the Riordanverse October 2022. Rick starts us off by once again showing the sun and the star, and he addressed a few questions about it. The first one was, is this a standalone or the start of a series? For this question, Rick admits that as of now, it is a standalone, as Rick is pretty busy with the PJO show on Disney+, and that he plans to release one book at a time because of this. The next question is, do I need to read the Trials of Apollo before I read The Sun and the Star? For this question, Rick said, Apollo was offended you would even ask, but just between you and me, no, you wouldn't necessarily need to read those first. This adventure stands on its own. On the other hand, it does happen after the Trials of Apollo, so it will make a lot more sense to you if you read those books, and it will certainly contain spoilers from that series. The third and last question from this book was, will we see other characters from Percy Jackson's world in The Sun and the Star? For this, Rick said that we would, but we have to wait and see who those characters are. Rick then continues with books from Rick Riordan Presents, like The Lords of Night and The Spirit Glass, which are new releases for this year. At this point, Rick dedicated the last part of the article for PJO TV and how they were back in Boston but are planning to go back to Vancouver for more filming. Once more, Rick tells us that everything is going great and that the only hazard on set is Walker trying to surprise him. Rick jokes that it was alright because he hasn't had a heart attack because of it, and I honestly find it pretty hilarious because from his movie The Adam Project, Walker admitted in an interview that he actually tried surprising Ryan Reynolds.
But I got to know him a little bit more while we were filming. I'd always hide behind all like the set pieces and jump out and try to scare him. But after like a month of that, he just walked through and be like, hi, Walker.
Rick then goes on about Leia's 13th birthday and how the birthday cake was ice cream and that the shoes was something Leia wanted. What made me even happier was that if you look a bit closely, there's a chair that read Annabeth Chase. And Rick even mentioned it. He said it was an item that Annabeth is never without. Rick then praised Leia, saying, this young lady is so talented. She is Annabeth to a T. And when you see her in the show, you will immediately understand why. We are delighted and lucky to have her in the PJO family. Happy birthday. He then goes on about how's the process, and that they filmed up to chapter 16. So for those of you who don't know or don't remember, chapter 16 is called We Take a Zebra to Vegas, which is the part where Percy, Annabeth, and Grover landed in the Lotus Casino. Once more, Rick makes it clear that they don't film in chronological order, so they didn't fully film everything. Even if there is no final product yet, Rick says that long story short, he's happy with what's happening. After sharing some terms they used on set, Rick showed an observation he had with filmmaking, which was how book adaptations don't follow the book line by line. From his perspective, he notices how, for a novelist, the book is the final product, whereas for the screenwriters, the script is changed over and over, and how the screenwriters just see the book as a rough draft in order to translate into a movie. Rick then ends the letter by saying, "Now, if you'll excuse me, it's time for me to pumpkin or rest. I will connect with you again end of week, and it will be so exciting and amazing." And that's how the letter ends. From all of this, I think it's safe to say that everything is going great, and that Rick has a lot in store for us, and not just the show, but also the Solangelo book. So, how about you? What do you think of all these updates? Let me know in the comments down below.